You're watching the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14.
Chef Anthony stepping back into Studio K to make lamb meatloaf.
Also, representatives from the city of Joplin and the state of Missouri discuss pediatric disaster response and emergency preparedness.
And we are watching what is now Tropical Storm Ian as it prepares to exit the Florida coast and enter the warm Atlantic waters. Of the latest on Ian and your local forecast coming up.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Thanks for joining us for the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. I'm Tanya Bach. A venture capital studio in Joplin is celebrating the first cohort of Joplin area builders. Builders and Backers is a cohort and business accelerator program that seeks to help people grow their business startup ideas by helping them flesh out those ideas and maybe provide grants. An associate says all ideas are welcome.
We always need new items, new ideas, new businesses, and I think it's important, especially for the Joplin area, because of all the damage that the tornado did years ago. Make sure that people are coming to Joplin and are wanting to build businesses here and are wanting to move here.
So far, 10 entrepreneurs in the Joplin area have received funding for their ideas. A challenge many parents face with childcare is the cost. Grace Van Sickle, a single mother of 3 in Joplin, has been providing for her children, but has had to switch childcare providers due to its cost. Now, one provider she went to charged $120 per week per child. That'd come to more than $1,400 a month. She now has switched providers and commutes back and forth from Joplin to Seneca for childcare. That's cut her cost down to $600 a month.
Yeah, if it's closer to save me gas mileage. I mean, I'm driving 30 miles there and then 30 back every day. So yeah, if it was closer, that would be nice, but I also would like to know the lady.
Well, next week in our childcare series, we'll focus on the challenges childcare providers face, such as retaining employees, funding, and facilities. Well, Fort Scott Community College holds an awareness walk for suicide prevention. Linda Herr has been organizing these awareness walks in the Southeast Kansas area for 7 years in honor of her husband and brother-in-law. Even though National Suicide Prevention Week was 3 weeks ago, spreading awareness is a year-long effort.
I do. I think mental health is always something that can be spoke about and supported. I think that all of our family members and athletes could really use extra love, and I think bringing awareness to suicide can really help do that.
This walk gives heavy hearts an activity to participate in honor of their loved ones.
All right, turning 4-state weather and the latest on Ian. We just got an update. During our 6 o'clock hour on KOAM, we interviewed meteorologist Andrew Shipley with Fox 4 in Fort Myers, and it's hit close to home, the update that he provided for sure. And it's just really hit hard with me as well, so I apologize. It's a little, we understand. We've been through it with the Joplin tornado. We know what the devastation's like, and Andrew was telling us, he sent me a text message that the Lee County Sheriff in Florida, which is Fort Myers and Cape Coral, is reporting hundreds of fatalities following Hurricane Ian. And of course, this very devastating storm, winds reported last at 155 miles an hour sustained. Fox 4's coverage this morning, their crews out in the field as the sun comes up, reporting collapsed buildings, a lot of devastation throughout the area, and of course we'll have more as that becomes available. In terms of Ian, we're not done with it yet. Tropical storm warnings from South Carolina down through Florida, because Ian right now getting ready to exit the Florida peninsula. Winds are at 65 miles an hour, so it is a tropical storm, but it's going to enter the Atlantic and intensify a little bit. It's not expected to reach hurricane strength again, but it'll come ashore as a strong tropical storm at 70-mile-an-hour winds near Charleston late tomorrow afternoon, early evening, and of course 74 miles an hour makes it a hurricane, so it'll still be a potent storm. storm when it comes ashore again. Here locally, we have a beautiful sunrise to start our day. We've got 51 degrees and clear skies across the area. 46 Fort Scott, or Iola, 45 Fort Scott, 43 Nevada, 52 Neosho, and in Anderson. Kids should be on the bus. If they're out there waiting, 50 degrees, mostly sunny skies. Southeast breeze 10 to 15. When they get off the bus, 73 at 3 o'clock with a gusty southeast breeze. Unseasonably warm again today. 78 for the high, mostly sunny. Going into tonight, we are seasonably cool but chilly. 48 degrees, mostly clear skies, and a quick check of the 7-day. We continue a warming trend. 82 tomorrow, mid-80s through the weekend, and then we're watching rain chances by the middle of next week.
All right, well, up next, the Red Cross stops by to tell us how you can help with Hurricane Ian relief efforts.
And later, doctors bring awareness to head lice during the month of September. You're watching the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14.
All right, we are back in the Chef Anthony Test Kitchen making our lamb meatloaf this morning. I'm excited about this.
Oh my, I love this part. So what I have is I took our meatloaf from earlier and I've laid it out on a piece of plastic and I'm going to flatten it out.
Okay. And if you'd like a reminder of what went into the meatloaf, you can go to our website at koamnewsnow.com. We'll have the recipe posted with all of these segments in there as well.
So I have it laid out. Now I'm going to put in my cheese.
Okay.
And I like to use mozzarella pearls.
And this is not a bowl of marshmallows, as I jokingly said earlier. It does look like it though. I mean,
A little bit, it does.
There's the recipe again there too. So we started off with 2 pounds of ground lamb. We added in a cup of panko breadcrumbs and 3 eggs.
Yes.
Mixed it together in whatever seasoning of choice. What's the type
Correct.
of seasoning you used? It had some jalapeno.
Smoked jalapeno and garlic.
Yeah.
Or excuse me, smoked jalapeno and onion.
How much seasoning would you say though?
To taste.
To taste.
So this is one of those ones where if you have your favorite seasoning, like if you put something on your hamburgers, whatever you put on your hamburgers,
Add it to it. Okay.
add it to it.
And then
So,
we're adding in. This was about a cup of.
about a cup
mozzarella.
of mozzarella, and you just add it till you feel like you have enough, and then take your plastic and start to roll it up.
You never have enough cheese.
Never have enough cheese.
Oh, that one fell out.
Some of them will run away,
Okay.
but that's the price you pay for using the good pearls. And then just roll it up into a log. Now this particular technique I took from a chef that I worked for, and it works wonderful. I get a nice even cook on my meatloaf and it doesn't dry out, so you don't end up with one that's real thick in the middle. You can control exactly how big you want it to be, and it makes portioning really nice. So that's a big deal.
Now, is it
when you
tough
go
to get
cook
the
for your family.
saran wrap off
Nope.
later on?
You can just cut it right off.
Okay.
And I'm just going to roll it right up like so. And then I'm going to roll it till I get about the shape that I want it to be. It'll move around a little bit, but I have my generalized shape. Now foil.
Regular foil, or should we go with heavy duty, or does it matter?
It doesn't really matter.
Okay.
And lay it right on and roll it up. Just like so. Very simple, very clean, and then just fold over. And away you go. If you roll it correctly, the open part should go up. That'll help to keep some of the juices inside of it so they don't just run everywhere.
Okay.
So just lay it straight down onto it and then into the oven, 350 degrees until the middle internal temperature is 155 degrees at least.
Simple as that.
Very simple, very clean. And then you can, when it comes out, we'll cut it open, put it on, show you how to do a wonderful presentation with it. And I have a special sauce this morning
Okay.
for us to put on it.
We will do that when we come back from the break. But first, I wanted to talk to you a little bit about the baking competition.
Oh, yes.
Are you still open for entries?
Oh,
and
yes.
when does this happen?
This happens November 5th. We are still open for entries. There are 3 divisions. There is the teacher division, high school division, and middle school division. And the categories are breads, and then all other desserts.
Okay.
All they need to do is bring the completed product along with a copy of their recipe.
So you're going to be baking it at home and bringing it?
Yes, bake it at home, bring it in, November 5th. You can, on your website, you can find the logo to scan and log in. There it is, and come and join us. It's going to be a wonderful time. We have over 20 competitors already signed up, and that doesn't include teachers that are coming So this is a great opportunity for you to get out, for teachers, for you to get out with your students. If you do a FACS class, come on out, join us. We have some pretty nifty little prizes that are being made up for them.
That'll
It's going to be a
fun.
lot of fun.
Coming up on Saturday, November 5th, so you have over a month to come up with a recipe. When you
Yes.
sign up and register, do you have to already know what you're
Nope.
going to make?
The registration form is very simple. It asks your name, school, contact information, and who your teacher is.
And is there any cost to participate?
No cost at all.
Okay. All right. What about prizes for this?
We have some stuff that our wood shop's working on. I believe there's going to be a trophy to the school that earns the most points.
That's cool.
So you'll have something to take back to school and say, hey, look what we won.
Yeah, so it's not
So-
just individual, but you're going to be competing as a team as
Yes.
well. Yeah.
So the more people you can get from your school to come and take part, the more points that you'll earn. And it's a 100-point contest. It's 50 points for 50 points for taste, 25 points for appearance, and 25 points for texture.
All right. Sounds like it's going to be a really fun event.
Oh, it's going to be great. I'm excited.
All right, we'll continue to talk about this as we get closer to the date. In the meantime, let's go to break, and then we'll come back and try out our finished lamb meatloaf. All right, welcome back. We have Chef Anthony here, and we have our finished lamb meatloaf.
Oh, yes. So all we did is we unwrapped the foil and cut off the plastic and laid it straight out onto my cutting board. And we're just going to start.
Do you have to worry
slicing
about,
our
because when you
portions.
rolled it up, would there have been plastic in the layers of it?
No, because you want to, when you roll it up, you want to completely lay over. You bring extra plastic and you're going to pull it up and over. You want to have about this much on the end.
Okay.
So that as you pull it over, you can have the plastic laying on itself.
Okay, good.
So you close it on itself. And we'll just cut our cute little portion pieces on here.
I see the ooey gooey mozzarella coming out of it already. Good stuff.
And the beauty with this one, I mean, you can top this one and put it back in the oven to caramelize, but what I always tell people is if you're going to do that, then get it cut like so and thicken your sauce that you're going to put on top, and then put your sauce on it and put it back into the oven. Make sure you put it on something that you're going to serve it on,
Yeah.
so you don't have to mess with it.
So it's ready to go,
So
and then
it's
you can just
ready to
put it
go.
in the oven to brown the top.
Yes, and we're not even looking to necessarily brown the top. We really just want it to kind of make your topping or whatever your sauce you put on top of it kind of sticky. But I like to do mine, and then I like to drizzle. Sorry, brand new sauce. This was given to me by one of my students. It is a peach barbecue sauce. It is so good. There we go. It has nice little bits and pieces in it. The seasonings are wonderful.
I suppose we should mention our lamb this morning came
Came
from
from
Simon Market.
And this is 100% Crawford County lamb.
Oh, wow.
So it's actually really good. I believe he said this was a fair lamb.
All right.
So, and of course, everybody here in town has tried all the Smoky Bros stuff. The Smoky Bros themselves, their sauce is insane. Since I was exposed to it a few weeks ago, I've been using it on everything. So I'm loving every inch of it. And this is a peach barbecue sauce that he's working on. It's just absolutely wonderful.
Sounds good.
So why don't you go ahead and take a bite and try one of those.
Okay. I'm going to,
Just pull one right out of the middle
out of
so
the
you
middle,
get plenty
yeah.
with cheese.
Yeah. Can't put that big of a bite in my mouth.
Isn't that great?
Oh, wow.
It's not dry, it's still juicy. Keeping it in the plastic and then in the foil helps keep as much of the juice inside and much of the moisture inside as you possibly can.
Yeah, because a lot of meatloafs you eat
Are very
can dry out.
And this
Oh,
is
that's
a
a
wonderful
hot sauce too. Yeah.
Yep, and this is a wonderful way to do it, and it's an easy presentation, and you can do this at home. You can throw this together in an hour
That's
for
delicious.
a family meal. It
All
is.
right, I'll have the rest of my piece. Yes, yummy.
Of course.
And of course, again, you can find this recipe on our website at KOAMnewsnow.com. What are you guys working on in class right now?
Right now, Baking and Pastry is doing cakes from scratch, and they're started icing and building their cakes. They're at 4 layers right now. So they're making their buttercream icing and putting it all together. And then my Culinary Essentials class is getting ready to start their soup assignment, which is one that makes me really excited because it's their first one they do at home.
Oh, wow.
So they get a packet of ramen, they take it home, and they have to enhance it with leftovers out of the refrigerator to kind of get them an idea as to what to expect when they go off to college, how to feed themselves on a interesting level repetitively.
I remember we tried to do that here one time, and we had a fridge clean out right before you came in, so there was nothing to enhance with it.
Well, it happens, but it's a wonderful project. It always gets me excited, and I've seen some really good stuff. I've seen pizzas, I've seen macaroni and cheese, I've even seen some dessert ones done.
And of course, you have a cooking club that meets every
Every
Culinary
Wednesday,
Club.
yes, and this week they learned to make pasta yesterday.
neat.
So we had a lot of fun with that, and they're getting ready to start up their food drive. They're getting ready to start up the drive when we start cooking for the teachers. That's coming in just a few weeks. We'll cook for teachers during parent-teacher conferences, and they're getting ready for the baking competition themselves. And another competition in Pittsburgh, which I'll have more information on next week.
All right. And speaking of next week, what are we thinking about doing here?
Well, we're going to start amping up for alternatives for turkey for Thanksgiving.
Okay. Interesting.
So,
all right.
I think next week we might do a chuck roast or a pork roast. We're not sure yet.
Roast are always good.
Yes, it is.
All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us.
Of course.
This was delicious. And I'm going to make sure that Chris, get over here. Chris has never had lamb meatloaf. He swears he's never had lamb, period. And I reminded him a couple weeks ago we had lamb chops, basically.
So,
yes. So.
yeah, he'll like this one.
All right. Come in and have a bite. You're going to have to use my fork. I'm sorry.
That's all right. I trust that you're.
Well, that one doesn't have any of the cheese on it.
Oh, okay,
Here,
okay.
Go for this one. Here, let me cut it in half for you.
We need some cheese.
Do you like hot
yes.
things? The sauce is pretty spicy if you don't want as much of it.
Okay, well, we're going to find out.
Okay.
We're going to find out here in a second.
That's a big bite, too.
Good. It's spicy.
It is spicy, but the lamb plays really nicely with it. And lamb being used for a meatloaf, people don't usually think about that stuff. And lamb is actually really healthy for you. So.
That's good, because I need to get a little healthier. One way or another. I mean, at least I can eat healthier, if anything
That's right.
else.
And then we put lots of cheese in it.
Yeah, no, I like that cheese. That is a spicy
mozzarella
sauce.
is great, and the cooling effects of the mozzarella with the hot sauce, it's a wonderful combination.
All right. Well, we are going way over our clock, so we better go to break. But thank you, and thank you.
Of course, I'll see you next week.
We'll be right back.
In Health Watch this morning, the month of September is when doctors try to bring awareness to head lice prevention. Children go back to school. This is the time of year when cases increase. Michael George has more.
They're a nuisance and can lead to a lot of stress for both kids and their parents. Head lice. Now, for the first time in years, the American Academy of Pediatrics is updating its guidance on controlling and treating head lice. The group says the nits are not a health hazard or a sign of poor hygiene, but can have significant stigma and cause psychological stress. The report highlights first-line treatments, including shampoos, lotions, and other FDA-approved products containing pyrethroids. When it comes to lice screening programs in schools, the AAP says they don't have a real impact on cases and may create more stigma for children suspected of having lice. It's estimated about 6 to 12 million lice infestations occur every year in the U.S. among kids aged 3 to 11. The report says students should not be restricted from attending school because of head lice. And while it's impossible to prevent all cases, it's important to teach kids not to share combs and brushes, as well as hats and pillows. Michael George, CBS News, New York.
The report also says parents should avoid lice products without FDA approval since evidence is lacking on how effective they may be. We'll be right back.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. It's currently 7:27. One person is dead after a shooting at a hospital near Little Rock, and a suspect is in custody. The hospital, CHI St. Vincent North in Sherwood, Arkansas, was put on lockdown as authorities responded. Police say the victim was visiting a patient and was shot by a person he knew. Suspect was later arrested at a gas station. Governor Laura Kelly on Tuesday announced her administration is knocking down a significant administrative barrier to joining the Kansas child care workforce. The KDHE and Department for Children and Families is now offering digital fingerprinting to child care workers. They say this will speed up the licensing approval process so child care workers can begin work as soon as possible. And representatives from the Joplin community and state of Missouri learned about pediatric disaster response and emergency preparedness in Joplin. The 16-hour training course provided by Texas A&M trainers discusses gaps that states have in preparing for the pediatric side of disasters. The course discussed everything from the initial response to a disaster to aftercare. Trainers say the Joplin tornado is an example of an unexpected event the city could have been more prepared for, considering the effects of it on children.
There were children that were displaced from their families, and there were children that were probably orphaned during the tornado in 2011. There were incidents with where children ended up in shelters, or they ended up in hospitals that weren't children's hospitals.
The training is preparing people for a real-life scenario exercise that will happen in Joplin on November 15th. Well, the sky is no longer the limit with drone technology. Pittsco Education in Pittsburgh designed a drone maker kit for kids in kindergarten through 12th grade. The kit is customizable and enables students to make their own drone. Pittsco Education provides hands-on STEM products not only here in the U.S., but in more than 60 countries.
At Pittsco, our belief is that students activate their minds when they actually put their hands on the product and get to make engineering decisions about the product.
The drone maker kits are on pre-sale right now for $70 and will be available for shipment in November. If you're interested in the drone maker kit, you can visit our website at KOAMnewsnow.com.
We've got a pretty decent day lined up for us today. Right now, we've got a nice sunrise. Temperatures are good, 51 degrees in Joplin, under very clear skies across the area. 46.8 Center, 49 Chanute, 52 in Parsons, 53 in Columbus, and 55 in Miami as we start this day. We'll still be unseasonably warm, but we're slow to warm up today, a little slower than yesterday at least. 78 under mostly sunny skies, 67 at noon, 73 at 5. And 61 by 8 o'clock. And as we go through the overnight, our temperatures will drop back quickly to a chilly 48 degrees under mostly clear skies. But again, that 48 is right about where we should be for this time of year. And then as we look at the weekend, we'll get mostly cloudy, 83 Saturday, partly cloudy, and 85 on Sunday. Still unseasonably warm, and we stay dry, but there is some good news on the horizon, or at least that's what we're hoping for. We warm up, 82 tomorrow. Stay warm into the lower to mid 80s through the rest of the week. As we head into the start of next week, we're watching shower and thunderstorm chances Tuesday and Wednesday. They're low-end chances, but they're chances nonetheless, and that is better than nothing. And then as we take a look through the rest of next week, look at this for October. We're talking pushing the 90s for afternoon highs, but we're also watching shower and thunderstorm chances. Again, slight, but they are there. The other effect of reaching the 90s is, as you can see, our seasonable overnight lows start to warm up as well, to the point that we're in the lower 60s by the end of next week. A lot of devastation from Hurricane Ian in Florida, especially the Fort Myers area, where again, we interviewed meteorologist Andrew Shipley in our 6 o'clock hour on KOAM from Fox 4 in Fort Myers. He talked about devastation. They're reporting collapsed buildings. There's a bridge to an island down there, Sanibel Island, that is completely gone. It's collapsed, and part of it has collapsed, making rescue efforts very dangerous and near impossible. And the Lee County Sheriff, which covers Fort Myers and Cape Coral, is reporting hundreds of fatalities. We've got an interview with the Red Cross of Missouri and Arkansas, talk about how they prepare for things like this and what you can do to help those folks in Florida right after this. Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News. Joined now by Stacy Burks, the Executive Director for the Red Cross for Southwest Missouri, or for Missouri and Arkansas. Hurricane Ian making landfall yesterday, certainly a terrifying situation and a very dangerous situation for folks in Florida. And I understand you already have some people that are in Florida to assist down there.
We do. We already have Red Cross volunteers in our workforce from the 4 states area, from Missouri, Arkansas region, as well as the Kansas, Oklahoma region. On the ground in Florida, we have others who are on standby, who are waiting for orders to actually transport down, as well as our emergency response vehicles, which are driven by teams of 2 that will be driven down there to the Florida areas, and they'll be distributing food and hot meals to those in need.
How many people does it take to respond to a situation like this, or does it depend on the situation?
It really does depend on the situation. Of course, this looks as if it could be a multi-state response for the American Red Cross, so it literally could take a couple of thousand people to respond. And then what we do as the Red Cross is we have people who deploy. Our volunteers will deploy for about 14 days at a time, some longer, but most of the time it's 14 days. And then we will send in another crew to replace that crew. And we do that continually until the Red Cross is no longer needed.
And you mentioned there are folks from the 4-state area that are down there or on standby to go down there. Do you know roughly how many volunteers you have in the area just ready to go?
Oh, goodness. Probably somewhere between 700 and 1,000. I know that's a wide range, but it's literally changing hourly. And due to the storm's path and coming in, we do have what we call a ground stop, meaning people aren't going to be moving. We're not going to be bringing people in for fear of life-threatening issues with the storm. And so we'll stop the volunteers coming into the Florida, Georgia, Alabama areas and Carolinas until that storm gets out of that, and then we'll be ready to go with those on the ground and others coming back in.
And you mentioned you've already got some volunteers. Are there ways for people to volunteer now in preparation to go down to Florida, or when the storm turns around, comes back into wherever they're needed, or are you already set with the folks that you have?
So I tell you what, let me answer that in a couple ways.
Yeah.
First of all, it will depend upon how long we're needed on the ground to respond to the storm as to whether or not someone who wants to volunteer, let's say today, and can come and get trained and then get deployed down there. So it will depend upon that time frame. But what I will say for those who can volunteer, and maybe you can't spend 14 days gone from your home, Red Cross is in need of volunteers every single day. We respond to home fires, we respond to floods. Missouri and Arkansas, Oklahoma, Kansas, we're not immune to tornadoes this time of year. And so we need folks in our own hometowns who can respond to their friends and neighbors when storms like these happen. And so even if you can't deploy to a large storm like this for 2 weeks at a time, we need volunteers.
And if people do want to volunteer, where do they need to go?
The easiest way is to go to redcross.org/volunteer today.
All right. And then in terms of following the storm, what can folks do here locally to help out? Is there anything they can donate or provide to the Red Cross in response to the storm?
One thing I want to caution people is that there will be supplies and there will be food items already pre-positioned to get into place for these folks. Obviously, once the storm passes, lots of retail areas in those states will reopen again. So we want to keep those economic engines going. Most of the Red Cross, as well as our partners that are in those areas serving, have the capacity to turn $1 into a multiplier to purchase products to give out to those in need. And so what I'm going to say is that primarily financial contributions to the American Red Cross, as well as any of our partners, are going to be the best way to help those in need. We want to caution against trying to donate clothing, canned goods, those types of things, unless you want them used in your local area, because those require volunteers to sort them. They require volunteers to then transport them, and it takes away from the availability of the mission and those volunteers that are needed there. Whereas a financial contribution can go directly to the areas that it's needed and then be spent in that area. And so the turnaround for those clients is much better.
And then to donate financially, what do they need to do there?
Sure, it's really easy to donate financially to the American Red Cross. You can go to redcross.org and up at the top right-hand corner, click donate. You can dial 1-800-RED-CROSS, or you can text the word Red Cross to 90999, and that'll make a $10 donation. Excuse me, text the word disaster to 90999.
All right, perfect. Stacey, thank you so much for joining us this morning. Of course, we'll have all this information on our website, including those links that you need to, if you want to help out, at KOAMnewsnow.com. We'll be back after this.
Thank you.
All right, we start this morning with the latest on Ian as it is exiting the east coast of Florida off the peninsula, getting ready to enter the warm waters of the Atlantic. That's why right now we've got tropical storm warnings from South Carolina back through Florida, as Ian is a tropical storm right now. This is the latest view of it. Latest report has the winds at 65 miles an hour, and it's moving northeast at about 9, and then it will eventually start to turn northwesterly. So as it goes across the Atlantic, over the next 24 hours or so, it starts to turn back towards South Carolina and is expected to make landfall as a strong tropical storm with 70-mile-an-hour winds just southwest of Charleston, South Carolina. Now remember, at 74 miles an hour, it becomes a hurricane. It's not expected to intensify that much, but as you can see, it will pick up some strength before it returns to land. Back here at home, we got a lovely sunrise at 7th and Range Line. Temperature's good, 51 degrees in Joplin under mostly clear skies. Still some cool spots, of course. 46 Iola, 45 in Fort Scott, Nevada, 49 Lamar, 50 Neosho, and 55 in Miami as we start the day. We will slowly warm up to an unseasonably warm temperature of 78 degrees, as you can see, under mostly sunny skies. And then as we head into tonight, we're mostly clear. Temperatures drop off quickly back to a low of 48, but that 48, even though it's chilly, is still going to be relatively seasonable. Looking at the 7-day forecast, we continue to warm up. 82 tomorrow, heading into the mid-80s by the weekend under partly cloudy, even some mostly cloudy skies here and there. And then we're watching rain chances by Tuesday and Wednesday of next week. So we are keeping an eye on that. We are certainly hopeful that the storm chances do come true for us because we need that rain and we need it here soon. Now, here's Tanya Bach with Consumer Watch.
That's right. Telecommunications giant Comcast says it's opened upwards of 200,000 Xfinity Wi-Fi hotspots in Alabama, Florida, Georgia, and South Carolina. The move is meant to help people stay connected during Hurricane Ian. The public hotspots are available for free to everyone, including non-Xfinity customers. Roughly 90,000 of the hotspots are in Florida, where more than 1.9 million power customers are without electricity. A famous auction house is trying to make a name with younger collectors. Tuesday, Christie's Auction House announced it's launching a new platform called Christie's 3.0. The online platform will be devoted to the NFT art market. NFTs, or non-fungible tokens, transform digital works of art and other collectibles into a one-of-a-kind, verifiable asset. They could be big buys for those into cryptocurrency. Christie's says it is also going after a new generation of collectors with a new department. Department X will focus on collectors looking to buy rare sneakers, streetwear, and sports collectibles, as well as own iconic pieces of pop culture. Well, don't worry, this house won't put a spell on you. Probably. Fans of the Hocus Pocus movie can stay at the Sanderson sisters' cottage this Halloween season. Ooh, the creepy abode located in the remote woods of Salem, Massachusetts is available on Airbnb. It was recreated in honor of Hocus Pocus 2, which starts streaming on Disney Plus Friday. Guests can try their hand at enchantments from the sisters' spellbook, but it likely won't turn anyone into a cat. 2 guests can stay at the cottage for an exclusive stay on October 20th for just $31. The listing opens on Airbnb October 12th at 1 p.m. We'll be right back with more after this, but first let's take a look at the market prices before the opening bell. It's time to honor today's fourth-state hero, Specialist Alicia Francis. The Carl Junction native began her service in Afghanistan back in 2012 as a member of the 317 Cav Unit. Specialist Alicia Francis, we thank you, today's fourth-state hero.
Well, this Saturday, walkers will gather at Missouri Southern State University for the Four States Heart Walk to benefit the American Heart Association.
FOX14 and KOAM are media sponsors. Each year, walk organizers select a survivor to help demonstrate the reasons why people walk.
Our very own Jordan Nobby introduces us to this year's survivor, Logan.
That was right after her surgery.
Pictures tell a story, and for 4-year-old Logan, her story is a miracle.
Okay, we're gonna go all the way to the top to see?
Shortly after she was born, doctors discovered a heart murmur and a pulmonary stenosis. Her parents learned she would need surgery someday.
Anytime I think your child undergoes any sort of procedure, it's, makes you a little nervous. And so I think that's kind of how we felt, a little anxious about it.
By age 3, Logan's symptoms had worsened. It was evident that someday had arrived.
And at nighttime, we could hear her really breathing hard and having some hard time breathing. She couldn't keep up with her brother. She would just stop doing activity. She would want to be carried a lot. And so those things were what we noticed most with her.
In April, Logan underwent a 5.5-hour surgery at Children's Mercy in Kansas City to repair that hole in her heart. Doctors also performed a pulmonary valvectomy. Her parents noticed an immediate difference.
She was up playing the next day, riding a tricycle before she left the hospital. No shortness of breath, not tired. Color was the best I've seen. So yeah, she did really well with her surgery.
Today, the spirited 4-year-old enjoys a quality of life that's brand new.
She's made comments, I can breathe better, and I'm not tired, and I can keep up with Charlie, or I can run, and she doesn't want carried as much, and she just plays, and she doesn't stop now.
Stephanie and Brandon credit the doctors and nurses with Logan's recovery and are grateful for the research advancements that made Logan's surgery possible. But most importantly, they point to the strength of one brave little girl.
She just doesn't let things get her down. She's just really a fighter.
What a happy story there.
Absolutely.
Well, Logan and her family will be at this year's Heart Walk, and our own Jordan Abbey will be there too.
The doors open Saturday morning at 9 at the Leggett and Platt Athletic Center at MSSU, and of course we hope to see you there.
You can find more information at 4statesheartwalk.org.
We've got some weather to talk about across the area. We are mostly clear in Joplin as the sun rises. Take a look. Temperatures are right where they should be for now, but they'll warm up later. 51 degrees again under mostly sunny skies in Joplin. Looking across the area, we got 42 Stockton, 45 Nevada, 45 in Fort Scott, 49 Chanute, and 51 in Independence and Fredonia. As we go through the rest of today, we will warm up slowly to a still above normal high of 78 degrees under those mostly sunny skies, and will remain mostly clear as we head into tonight. Temperatures gradually drop back, 56 at 11, 54 by 2 a.m., and overnight low of 48 by 6 a.m. And while that is chilly compared to what we have seen over the last couple of weeks, 48 is right about where we should be for this time of year. Heading into the weekend, we really start to warm up. Mostly cloudy Saturday, 83, 85, and partly cloudy on Sunday. Still unseasonably warm, obviously, and we will remain dry as well, but there's some rain chances on the way, and that's what we're going to talk about here in the 7-day. We go to 82 tomorrow, partly cloudy. As we mentioned, we warm up into the mid-80s through the weekend. Monday, we're 83 and mostly clear, but then we're watching some slight shower and thunderstorm chances both Tuesday and Wednesday. Knocks temperatures back down to the lower 80s. These chances are slight, but hey, they're there, and it's rain, and we need rain, and hopefully we'll actually get some. But as our temperatures warm up, our overnight lows go from being seasonable to unseasonable as they'll warm into the lower 60s. And on the 10-day, we start to heat back up again to the point we're pushing 90 degrees, if not better, by next weekend. But at the same time, we're watching additional shower and thunderstorm chances Friday and Saturday of next week. And again, that's rain that we need. But you can also see, like I mentioned earlier, where the overnight lows get unseasonable, we start dropping back into the lower 60s in October. But at least there's rain on the way, some chance of rain in some form, and that's something that we do need. We're back with more of the KOAM Morning News right after this.
Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. Here's what's happening today. Hurricane Ian has slowed somewhat since making landfall yesterday as a Category 4 storm with 150-mile-per-hour winds. At least 2 million households and businesses were without power at the height of the storm. Officials warned even with diminished winds, it remains a powerful storm that's likely to cause catastrophic flooding across the Florida peninsula. And the U.S. announces a new round of military aid for Ukraine. Included in the $1.1 billion package are 18 HIMARS launchers. The long-range mobile rockets have seen heavy use during Ukraine's recent advances into Russian-occupied territory. And the Yankees, Aaron Judge hits his 61st home run of the season last night in Toronto. With the 2-run shot, he tied the American League record set by Roger Maris in 1961. Judge has 7 games left to set a new mark.
We will be unseasonably warm again today as temperatures go slowly to eventually 78 for an afternoon high under mostly sunny skies. They'll fall off quickly tonight under mostly clear skies to an overnight low of 48, but that 48 is seasonable for this time of year. Look at the 7-day forecast. You can see we begin to warm up. We're 82 tomorrow, mid-80s through the weekend. Then we're looking at some rain chances as we head into the start of next week.
All right, the Oregon Zoo is celebrating autumn with its animals. The zoo recently shared this video on its social media. It shows otters, red pandas, elephants, and more having a ball eating and playing with pumpkins. The workers dropped off fall's favorite fruit at several of the habitats in the zoo. It's just another sign that the cooler season is here and can be enjoyed by every creature.
Even though it doesn't feel so cool around here, the cooler season is here, believe it or not. So look at these guys go.
Gator was going to town on that pumpkin.
Look at those guys. I like this. It's some great video, and they are
Everybody likes pumpkins.
They are clearly having some fun down there with those pumpkins. So I like the thing there too.
Oh,
it says,
you
eat,
got to get
drink,
the otters.
and be an animal. That's kind of what I do.
Yes, very true.
Well, thank you so much for letting us put the good in your morning. Back with more news and weather today at noon.
Have a great morning and an even better day.